Well, hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Blue Star Roundup. I'm Rob Vale, this is Levi Batchelor. We are with the Middle Tennessee Dallas Cowboys fan club, and you'll get to see some information coming up here in a little bit about our club, but if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, Nashville, Franklin, Wilson County, all just that general area, certainly you want to come out to our watch parties. We're at Bailey's Sports Grill in Goodlettsville behind the Rivergate Mall. For every game this year, we want you to come out and visit us and have a good time with a bunch of other Cowboy fans. I think we had like 60, 65 people.
Big turnout.
This past week for the Redskins game. So we invite you all to come out, have a good time, cheer with fellow Cowboy fans, and have a real good time. So,
That's right.
So we won one.
We won.
We won. All right.
Won.
Beat the Redskins.
Win.
We'll take it.
That's
it beats losing with a stick.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what we saw, I think, of course, the Cowboys beat the Redskins 27-23,
Yep.
and I think we've seen some good things. We've seen some maturization of Dak Prescott.
Yep.
We've seen him mature more into a more patient quarterback, and he was already patient the previous week, but I think you saw some different things from him this week. The fact that he stayed in the pocket, he was able to. One thing we saw the Cowboys doing a lot of was running that waggle.
Yep.
They get him running outside and looking for either a back or usually it's Cole Beasley, somebody like that, and it was very effective.
Well, I think it plays a lot to Dak's strength, and it uses his natural athletic ability to move the pocket, get him outside to where he doesn't have all those linemen cluttering up his view, and he's able to make the right reads. And sure, it might cut down on half the field moving him out one side or the other, but I mean, you saw Cole get open, you saw Dez get open, so that he made the right reads. They were playing to his strengths. I thought the whole first half was immaculate, from play calling to execution to Dak to Zeke, the whole 9 yards. I thought that the offense performed beautifully.
And we were able to move the ball up and down the field again fairly easily,
Yep.
Especially in the beginning. I got a little nervous there when we got that first field goal, and I thought we'd be able to punch it in. But, at the end of the day, if you get a win, that's the most important thing, and that's what they were able to do. I thought we saw some maturing on Dak. We saw Ezekiel start to come into his own a little bit, even though he had a couple miscues.
Yep.
But I tell you, I think one of the biggest things that we had seen was the fact that Jason Garrett changed it seemingly overnight into Jimmy Johnson, at least in terms of how he was handling some in-game situations.
He was gutsy, wasn't he?
An onside kick.
Yep.
You don't usually see that from Garrett unless it's dire.
Going forward on fourth down in the first half.
Yep. A lot of fourth downs. I think you saw something else too. The GOAT, and I don't mean that in a good way. The GOAT from the first game was Terrence Williams,
Yep.
who failed to get out of bounds he had a brain cramp. Well, he didn't get a single target.
Yeah,
they never threw it to him one time. Now he'd been on the field,
Yep.
and he'd been out there for I think it was like 35 or 40 snaps. So it wasn't like he wasn't on the field. It's just that they weren't targeting him. They, excuse me, they decided that wasn't something they were going to do. So that's something that you would see from a Jimmy Johnson. If somebody did something like that, he would just kind of, okay, you're not the guy, next man up.
Right.
The other thing that we saw from Garrett after Zeke had his second fumble was he benched him.
Yep.
After that, it was Morris out there, and it was a little bit of Dunbar and things like that. So I don't know if that's a manifestation of frustration from the week before. I don't know if he's just said, you know what, my job is on the line, so I got to do something.
Right.
I don't really think, in my opinion, unless there's a complete and total and utter breakdown in the Cowboys infrastructure, and we don't win another game, I don't think his job is in jeopardy. But that being said, he may, in his mind, think I've got to perform better as a coach. And we saw some different calls that I don't think we've really seen in different circumstances there before. So I'm kind of excited about that. I like the change. I like the that riverboat gambler kind of mentality.
Yep.
As long as it doesn't become a theme where he does it all the time and in bad situations.
Right.
Now, you could argue that the onside kick was somewhat ill-timed just because you were only up by, I think we were up by 3.
Yeah.
And so I think it was, but either way, it probably wasn't a great time to do it.
Of course, I mean, had it been executed well,
He's a genius.
and that's better. I mean,
then he's a genius.
Washington clearly did not expect that call. And it was just, to be honest, it's just a crappy kick. I mean, Bailey kind of scooted it, and it didn't get the 10 yards it had to travel. But I mean, aside from that, if he'd have kicked it 10 yards, we'd have had the ball. I mean, because there wasn't a Redskin anywhere around it.
Right, and then because of the field goal that we had gotten, we're looking at a 10-point swing. So, yeah, I mean, again, if you make it, you're great. If you don't, you're a horse's rear end.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I liked the call. I liked him taking a chance. The thing about it is the coaches can make the calls. It's up to the players to execute them properly. So that all being said, there were some good things there. I mean, there was Dak only had 8 incompletions. Again, no interceptions. He still hasn't thrown for a touchdown, but he got his first touchdown rushing.
Yep. I believe didn't he break Warren Moon's rookie record of most passes to start a career without an interception? I think he broke Warren Moon.
I don't know that, but it might be.
75 attempts, and I believe that Warren Moon was at 72.
Okay, interesting. Good nugget.
Yep.
I like it. Now, so we had seen after last week's game, a lot of people were down on Zeke because he didn't get 130,000 yards, all that kind of stuff.
Too impatient.
But what we saw this week, he was a little bit better in terms of his running. I mean, he had 21 attempts and 83 yards rushing, and some of those runs were dirty runs.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought he did a good job of getting in the hole, making some things happen. He had one where he almost broke it. It was just a shoestring tackle, or he would have been gone.
Yep.
So he's and he had another touchdown, and so he's starting to feel himself, I think, in this offense, understanding the blocks, understanding how to read the blocks, and again, it all comes from learning. As he's a rookie, and he's gonna give you headaches sometimes just because you want him to do other things. But here's an interesting couple interesting things. He had 3.95 yards per carry, and he lost 2 fumbles, or he had 2 fumbles and he lost 1.
Yep.
But on the year, so far, after 2 full weeks, he ranks 8th in the NFL in rushing.
Whoa.
All right, so he's a top 10 running back right now. After 2 games, a rookie. Now, let's compare him, because I've seen people saying, well, he's no Emmitt Smith, he's no Emmitt Smith. Well, let me tell you, in Zeke's first 2 games, he's had 134 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, and he's fumbled the ball twice. Mm-hmm. Emmitt Smith in his first 4 games had 104 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, and 2 fumbles.
No way.
So, before we start throwing dirt on this guy's grave after 2 whole games, I think we need to understand where he's at.
Yep.
And that's not everybody was like that, but I've seen, you read the internet, and you read people that comment now on social media and all these things, and everybody has an opinion about it, and that's okay. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. They can say he's great, he sucks, or anything in between. But I also think you need to balance that off with a little bit of patience and a little bit of understanding where you're at, and a little bit of common sense. I believe that I said it in the preview video, I said it last week, and I'll say it again. I still believe that Elliott is going to break the rookie rushing record for the Dallas Cowboys this year. I just think it's going to happen. We've got too good of a line not for that to happen, and he's too good of a back.
Yep.
So we've got a lot going for us. So just to break down some additional stats. I mean, Dez had seven catches, 102 yards. They were really targeting Dez this time. Last week it was the complaint, well, you got to force feed Dez the ball. And to some degree, you're absolutely right, he does.
Yep.
You do. But this week they did, and it came up aces for him.
Yep.
Cole Beasley had 5 catches for 75 yards. You got Witten, you got Swaim. I got Swaim. He had 2 catches for 29 yards, but I think the one that'll stand out in everybody's mind all year long is when he caught that ball and he looked like I don't know, he looked like Humpty Dumpty trying to find his legs.
Looked like a drunk running down the field.
But I mean, it was effective. I mean,
it worked.
It worked.
It worked.
It was great. But and he got Dunbar involved and a little bit in the game plan. So he had 5 touches. So the point is that the game plan and the coaching and everything, you can criticize as much as you want, but the truth of the matter is, we're looking really good in terms of how we're putting our game plans together.
Yep.
Whether or not they'll always be successful, that's another thing. But on the defensive side of the ball, last week we were excited because we had 1+ turnover.
Yep.
But this week we were even
Finished
at 1,
even, right? Yeah.
1 and 1. We had 2 sacks. They had 4. That was a little concerning. But we had 2 sacks this week, both from a guy named Crawford. Unfortunately, it was 2 different guys named Crawford. Jack and Tyrone got it. And so that was interesting. What I thought about was great about that was that when you saw Jack Crawford get his, they kicked him to the outside.
Yep.
They moved him from tackle out to end, and he was able to win that battle and get in and get the pressure and get the sack. We heard today that Randy Gregory has pulled back his appeal. He's not going to appeal it, and now we know, at least as of right now, we know that he is going to be out at least for 14 games. So unless somewhere down the line Goodell sees a major improvement in him in his rehab and how he's acting around the team, because he's still allowed to be with the team, as far as I understand, he can still be with the team, just can't practice.
Right.
If things are going well, Goodell always he reserves the option to come back in and say, okay, we're going to reduce that suspension to 5 additional games or 8 games or whatever he decides. He's kind of God to the NFL. So there's that out there. But what I'm saying is that Jack Crawford moving outside, get some pressure. That will be, I think that's kind of key for us. We each had 24 first downs, which was good for us because we were picking up yards, but it was bad for us because it meant they were picking up yards. Our red zone efficiency shot up dramatically. I mean, we went the week before we were at 33%. Now we're at 60% for the game. Washington was at 33%. Time of possession was fairly even. We had a plus 5.5 minutes almost, or a little bit more edge, which is good. However,
I'm sorry to interrupt. That time of possession. That's something that you will see time and again from this team. The time of possession is very much a Linehan-Garrett battle that they want to win every week.
Yeah, and I think the game plan and the way the offense is designed will lend itself to that, just because they'll be doing more running. And let's be real, some of these passes that Prescott is hitting, they're not bombs.
Right.
He's not throwing 60 yards downfield. A lot of these, like we're saying, on that waggle where Beasley catches it for 5 yards downfield and he turns it into 15, 20 yards.
Right.
So some of these are glorified handoffs.
Yeah.
All right. But if it works, I don't care.
Right.
As long as we're moving the ball, and as Hank Stram was famous for saying, at least we were matriculating the ball down the field. So, it's all good stuff, and I think the Cowboys' arrow is pointing up.
Yeah.
So that's all good. In terms of what you saw from your your player to watch last week, which I believe was Elliott.
Yep.
How did you get to see what you thought you'd see, or?
Zeke definitely improved. It was almost black and white. The difference in his demeanor, the difference in with how he was hitting the hole. I mean, he was a battering ram every time he was going between the tackles. I mean, he looks to punish people. Yeah. We saw that with the Chancellor hit back in the preseason.
Yeah.
I still think that there's no telling where this kid's ceiling is, and in my mind, he didn't play very much in training camp. Mm-hmm. He didn't play very much in preseason because he had the hamstring injury. And like I said, honestly, I think he's only going to get better because he's only going to get more comfortable with the guys up front. He's only going to get more comfortable with his reads. And I think I'm excited to see him grow into. I know he's not DeMarco Murray in where he's going to make the read, take one step, and be downhill. But I'm excited to see him add that to his repertoire because I think that plays. That's why DeMarco Murray was so good in our offense, because that kind of running style is what fits this offensive line and their zone blocking up front. So when they go zone, I think that Zeke will have even more success hitting those cutback lanes. Seeing a cutback pop open and then hit it full speed like a battering ram the way that he's running the ball right now.
Well, and you're seeing, you saw from the Giants and you saw from the Redskins, they were playing that 8-man box, a lot.
Yep.
The fact that we were able to back them out of it a couple times was good, and I think the fact that we are, and what I was saying before about mixing the plays and putting that game plan together, I think that they've done a good job of that. Because you really don't know what we're going to do. I still believe that we have not opened the playbook up to Dak Prescott.
No way.
I still don't think we have. I think we're doing the things like you said earlier. We're playing to his strengths right now, minimizing his weaknesses and minimizing mistakes. And honestly, the only kind of mistakes that I've seen from Dak have not been, they haven't been dramatic. They were things like maybe not staying with an option long enough. We talked about him going through progressions,
right? And
it's in his head, but at the same time, if you stay one tick longer on your first read, he comes open, and I think we saw that with Dez once, at least once, maybe twice if I'm thinking back properly, where Dak went and looked in his direction and just immediately checked down, went off, and so he went through his progressions and then chose another target.
Yep.
Where if you would have stayed just a hair longer, Dez was open.
Yeah.
So and he could have threw him open. So, those are little things. They're looking at that stuff on tape too. Look, if you and I can see it, sitting at Bailey's,
right?
Watching it on a big screen,
yep.
The coaches see that and they're breaking it down, and that's where he's growing.
Yep.
He's not growing. He's growing some on the field, but he's really growing in that meeting room. He's really growing in the film room when they're breaking that stuff down, and I'm excited to see where that goes. That notwithstanding, I'm on the Tony Romo bandwagon. When he's healthy and ready to come back, he needs to be back. And I think that it might serve Dak real well.
Yes. If
that happens, because some people will say, well, you won't have it'll be a progress stopper and so forth. I don't believe that. I believe that he has now real game experience, and he can stand on that sideline and watch. He knows in his head where he made mistakes.
Yep.
He's going to be able to sit there and look at that live and say, okay, I see what he did. Now I'm going to do that.
Yep.
And so, I'm like I said, I'm excited about the future with him. I really think that he's the next quarterback of this team. You know, I really hope and pray, because he's got all the intangibles.
Yep.
He has the ability. Maybe he doesn't have the strongest arm in the league, but I do think he can make most all of the NFL throws.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that being said, I think he's going to be fine.
Yep.
All right, so that kind of covers what happened this past week. We're going to go to break, and then we'll be back in just a minute, and we'll talk about the upcoming game against the Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football, and we'll be back in just a minute. We'll keep an eye out for our sponsors, and make sure you visit them and say hi and tell them we sent you.
That's right.
All right, we're back, and thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah.
Hope you got a chance to write down the website for Game Day Sports Tours. They are our sports travel partner, and if you're looking to go to a Cowboy game, I encourage you to go to www.gamedaysportstours.com. Check them out, give them a call, tell them that you heard about them from the Middle Tennessee Dallas Cowboys fan club, and that you want to come down and have an awesome Dallas Cowboys experience.
Right.
Have a great time, meet players, get autographs, have some great food, and most importantly, get close to the Cowboys and see a great game. So give them a call. You'll have a great time, I promise you that. And also check out Bailey's. Their website was on there. Just give them a call, check them out. Take a bunch of folks out there to watch a game. You'll have a good time too. So, all right. So we got a Sunday night game coming. It's the first of our primetime games. We seem to always get the maximum amount of primetime games every year, and so they start early.
Right.
Against the Chicago Bears, the Bears, and heard some news today that Cutler had sprained his thumb. He may be out against us. Right now they're saying it's day to day, but who knows? That could be that. I mean, he could be back, ready to go Sunday night, and he might be out 2 to 3 weeks, and you just don't know. But you got to be prepared for all eventualities, and I think the Cowboys prepare that way.
Yep.
So in this game, what are you looking for? What do you think is going to stand out?
Well, I think the Cowboys win this one pretty easy, given what I saw last night. All things considered, I really think the biggest thing to watch for, and it ties in with my player to watch, but the biggest thing to watch for is our secondary going to be able to keep up with that receiving tandem that they've got. Alshon Jeffrey is, he's just a purely physical freak, and he's about like this. He's just a purely physical freak, big guy, tall guy with excellent hands.
And he can run really good routes.
Yeah, and so like I said, my player to watch for this upcoming game is, as of right now, head and shoulders the most improved player on this football team, and that's Morris Claiborne. He has been lights out. He was lights out last week. He was lights out week one, and it's really I'm really glad to see him make this turnaround in his career.
I am too.
And I think, like I said, what I want to look for is if he can go out and win his matchups consistently, his one-on-one matchups consistently, we shut the Bears down and we win by 10 at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Well, here's the thing about Mo. I just want to make a comment because you brought him up.
Yep.
The fact that we didn't pick up that fifth-year option on his contract, I think, did a couple things. Number one, let's be real. He's been injured a lot.
Yep.
But when he's been healthy, he's always been a pretty good player. But it seemed like between being injured and not between the injuries, he was either recovering from an injury or he's just getting one and he's kind of trying to play through it and then he can't. And so it's always suffered in a lot of areas. But when he was completely healthy, he was always been good. So I think right now what you're seeing is a guy who said, you know what, I got to take better care of myself. Number one. Number two, playing lights out. And it's my hope that he keeps playing this way, not just for the Cowboys' sake in this season, but for the Cowboys' sake and Mo's sake down the road. I'd like to see them, if he continues playing this well, I'd like to see them bring him back, on a 2 to 3 year deal and pay him, what he's worth.
Totally agree.
That's a good call on Mo, and I think I look at this game coming up as one of those things where you stick your hand in a bag blindly, and you don't know if you're going to pull out a $100 bill or you're going to put your hand in there and get stung by a scorpion.
So kind of like a trap game.
I don't know if it's a trap game so much because, we're not expected to do a lot, and I don't, just because of the injuries and Dak and the rookies and all this.
Right.
But the reason I say that is I see so many things that we're doing right on the field, but I also see things that we're doing wrong. And now we're getting to the point in the season where offensive and defensive coordinators have some game tape to look at and say, okay, well, they're running that waggle a lot. Well, if they take that waggle away, what can he do?
Right.
What's he going to do? And maybe and this is what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm sticking my hand in pulling out a $100 bill and he's going to stand in that pocket and he's going to be great, or he's gonna wilt. I don't think he's going to wilt, but I don't know because we haven't seen it yet.
Or take the waggle away, does it force him into mistakes? Take the waggle away, does it force him into bad reads? Yeah, I totally get it.
And I think the Bears' defense is a better defense than the Redskins were. You saw their defensive ends getting home a couple times yesterday or last night against a moderately halfway decent Eagles offense or tackle. So maybe I don't know. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think our offensive line is way better than the Eagles. Yep. So I think they should be able to handle that. But again, based on what I saw and based on what I see on the game film and what I've watched during the game, there are some areas of concern yet. I thought Jason Durant played lights out. Yesterday or Sunday. I thought he played fantastic. He may be taking Hitchens' spot. It's just that simple. It took him a couple of weeks to get in shape, but he was playing very well. He was
all over the field.
Yeah, he really was. And so that's some good news for us. So we'll see. But I think that I think Chicago poses some different issues. Mm-hmm. If everybody's healthy, it poses different issues than what the Redskins did. And we'll see how we handle them. I have confidence in Linehan, and I have confidence in Marinelli to look at that and say, okay, here's how we make these adjustments, and if they do X, we'll do Y. But you think we're going to win by 10? I think it'll be closer than that. I wished it wouldn't, but I think it's going to be one of those deals where it's going to be a 3 to 6 point kind of thing, and we're going to be at the end of that game wanting the possession at the very tail end, rather than hoping our defense could come up big. Not that our defense didn't come up big different times this past week, but let's be real. The Redskins quarterback on the last play of the game didn't even give his receivers a chance to catch the ball. Mm-hmm. He overthrew the end zone. So when you overthrow the end zone on that, it's just a bad kind of deal. Well, anyway, like I said, I think there's a different thing coming. There's a different thing coming at us this week than what we had this past week.
Yep.
So I think it'll be a much closer game. It'll probably be something. Maybe I don't know, 16 to 10. maybe 21, 17. I don't know, something like that. I just think it'll be closer. I hope not. I hope we stomp them and blow them out. But and I'll be excited about that. My player to watch this week, and I mentioned him earlier, is Jack Crawford. I'm kind of interested to see if they continue to keep him outside, or if they're playing with that line, if they're just moving him in different places so that the offensive line can't get a beat on him.
Right.
I don't know, but I thought it was interesting. So I'm going to be watching him and seeing what they do with him from a scheme perspective.
Yep.
So anyway, it's again, I think we're in a good position. I think our arrow is pointing up. I just don't think that there's a whole lot of reason to panic.
No.
I see, like I said, I look at.
If you're Washington, there is, because you're
yeah.
0-2, and historically only 12% of 0-2 teams make the playoffs.
Right. Well, and two, the other thing is that I think I read a lot of the social media stuff, the tweets and the Facebook and the message boards and stuff like that, and see what our own fans are saying.
Yep.
And it was crazy because even after a win, it was like you got to talk them off the ledge because why? Because Zeke didn't get 100 yards, or really, we won the game. Zeke fumbled twice. Yep, he's a rookie.
And he's still settling into the offense.
Right, and yeah, exactly. So I think we're in good shape. The next watch party is this Sunday at against the Bears at Bailey's in Goodlettsville behind the Rivergate Mall.
Yep.
Come out, be out there about 7 o'clock. We're going to get started. The game I think starts at 7:30.
Yep.
We'll have a good time. We may have some surprises for this game. I'm not gonna say because it's still too early in the week to know for sure. But if you do come out, you might have a chance at some additional goodies from the Cowboys. So we'll see. Who knows? But come on out anyway. We'll have a good time. Meet some new people if you've never been out. We're all Cowboy fans. Doesn't matter who or what you are. Just come out and have a good time.
That's right.
So we'll see you next week. Keep looking for our YouTube channel and our videos.
Sure.
Like them, subscribe to them, make some comments. If you agree with us, don't agree with us. That's all well and good. Just make it constructive, and we'll keep it rolling here. So
absolutely.
Any final thoughts?
Well, I'm going to make my prediction.
Okay.
Cowboys over Bears, 30-20. I think that this week Dak puts it together in the red zone, and we walk out of there winners.
I want to make one more prediction. Zeke gets 100 yards.
There we go.
At least. It may even be a breakout game.
There we go.
I don't know. Okay, so we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Make sure you check us out on Facebook. Just Facebook search Middle Tennessee Dallas Cowboys Fan Club. Like a page, join the page, post away. We'll welcome you in.
That's right. Now, descriptions for all of our sponsors, the Game Day Sports Tours, as well as Bailey's, and links to our 2 Facebook pages will be in the description.
Awesome. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.